Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're doing well. In today's quick lesson, we're going to be looking at some legal English collocations which collocate with the preposition from. Welcome back to my Study Legal English YouTube channel. I'm Louise and I'm here to help you improve your legal English. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to hit the subscribe button here below the video, and in this way you're going to be notified about all of my future content. So now let's get started. When do we use from? The preposition from in English is used for many reasons. In this video, we will look at one reason in particular, which is really important for legal English. From can be used to show that something is excluded, restricted, removed, not allowed, shouldn't happen, or be allowed, or no longer exists. So let's look at the first collocation, to prohibit from. What does this mean? To formally forbid someone from doing something, to not allow someone to do something, to exclude a behaviour or action, usually because it's stated in law, an official rule, or regulation. An example sentence is, the contract prohibits you from working for a competitor. Let's look at number 2, to ban from. This means to prohibit something entirely, to impose a restriction on an action, item, or person. When it is related to a person, it is often because the person has done something wrong. An example sentence is, he was banned from practicing law due to misconduct. He could not practice law anymore because of his bad behaviour. Number 3. To refrain from. This means to avoid doing something because you shouldn't do it. An example sentence is, the defendant was ordered to refrain from making disruptive comments during the trial. The judge said, please stop making disruptive comments because you shouldn't do it. Number 4. Prevent from. This means to be stopped or restricted from doing something. Let's look at an example sentence. I'm sorry, the meeting today went on longer than I expected, which prevented me from getting back to you regarding your query. I was not able to respond to your email because the duration of the meeting was longer than I expected. Number 5, to derogate from. This means to deviate from or reduce the force of a legal rule or principle. The law or rule is excluded and no longer needs to be obeyed or is not being obeyed. Let's look at an example. Under Article 15 of the European Convention on Human Rights, governments may, in exceptional circumstances, derogate from their obligation to secure certain convention rights and freedoms. This means that, of course, governments usually have to secure conventional rights and freedoms, but in some circumstances, they can deviate from this obligation. They do not need to perform the obligation, and they can do that in exceptional circumstances. Number 6, to hide from. This means you put something somewhere, or an intangible object such as an emotion or a feeling, somewhere where it cannot be seen. It is especially used with goods, evidence, or stolen goods. Let's look at an example. I imagine the client wasn't happy with the trial results, but he tried to hide his disappointment from me in the meeting. So my client was not very happy because perhaps the trial did not give a result that he would have liked, but he didn't show that so much to the lawyer. Number 7, conceal from. To conceal from means to withhold information, to deceive. It can also mean to hide. It's often used with assets, and we often use it in criminal law in fraud cases. An example sentence is, the company executives conspired to conceal financial irregularities from regulators to avoid detection. The company executives worked together to hide financial problems, financial issues, financial anomalies from the regulators so that they would not be detected, so that they would not be prosecuted. Number 8, to exclude from. This means to restrict or prevent someone or something from entering a place or from participating in an activity. An example sentence is, the behaviour of the company was considered abusive as it had the effect of excluding competitors from the market. This means that the actions or the way that the company was acting was not correct. In fact, it was against competition law. Why? Because it restricted other companies who were competitors of the original company. It excluded them, it restricted them, it prevented them from entering the market. Number 9, free from. This means without any encumbrance, defect, or limitation. The encumbrance, defect, limitation is not there, it is removed, it is excluded. An example sentence is, the goods must be free from defects as stipulated in the warranty. The goods must not have any defects. Defects must not be there. This would be a typical contract clause. Number 10, to release from. Definition: to be freed from an obligation, duty, or imprisonment. The obligation, the duty, or imprisonment is removed. You no longer have to be in prison. You no longer have to perform the obligation or the duty. That is no longer there. Let's have a look at an example sentence. The offender was released from prison early. This means that the offender could leave prison. They no longer had to be in prison. They no longer had to fulfill their obligation because of a criminal sentence to be in prison. So now let's do a quiz. You have to fill in the blanks with the correct verb that collocates with from using the ones that we've looked at today. Number 1, 500 kilos of cocaine were from the authorities in the lining of the suitcase. Number 2, the adverse weather, the shipment from arriving on time. Number 3, the defendant was accused of fraud for attempting to assets from creditors during the bankruptcy proceedings. Number 4, I felt from the conversation because of my English level. Number 5, the property is from any attachments, tax liens, or any other encumbrances. Let's move on to the next 5 questions. The guarantor was from their obligations under the agreement. The Commission introduced measures whereby companies are from using BPA in food packaging. Number 8, please from discussing sensitive company information in the meeting with competitors, as this could be considered as anti-competitive behaviour. Number 9, the court held that contractual terms may not, from the statutory protections afforded to tenants under housing legislation. Finally, number 10, the law companies from collecting sensitive data without the consent of the data subject. Let's go through the answers. Check how many you got correct. Number 1 was hidden. Number 2, prevented. Number 3, conceal. Number 4, excluded. Number 5, free. Number 6, released. Number 7, banned. Number 8, refrain. Number 9, derogate. And number 10, prohibits. Let me know how many you got correct in the comments. So that brings us to the end of this quick lesson. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you learned something new. If there are other legal English topics you would like me to cover in the future, leave me a comment in the section below and I'll do my best to cover it. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, join me on social media, and of course, if you liked this video, share it with a colleague, share it with a friend, and do hit that like button. Thanks very much for watching and see you next time.